States for the American dream. Buying anything, trying to build self-esteem. Back in the 90s.
I'm comedian Brian Rabido, and I'm here with hip-hop artist Jersey Demic. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Doing good, you know. It's a beautiful day outside. You don't get too many days like this.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life, so, you know.
So,
appreciate everyone.
You're having a new album come out, Dreaducated. It's coming out in August, right?
Yeah. It's coming out in August. August 27th, and I picked that date because that's the day that Madden comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play many video games, but I play Madden. So, and last year they took the soundtrack out of Madden, so there's no more. It's like orchestra music in there now. You know, it's just like for football, Monday night type of stuff. But you need like a soundtrack. You need songs that you're gonna play. So, I figured that all the people that play Madden could cop Madden and cop my joint on
and
the
listen
same
to your
day.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So who's your favorite team on Madden?
I don't really. My favorite team was New England, but I kind of don't like the way that they dealt with Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
And I know that we're in New York, so I know it's a big fight between the Giants and the Patriots. So.
Yeah, I'm a Jets fan,
so
I look at that as like the evil empire, pretty much.
Yeah. I really don't have a team. I grew up a Lions fan. Actually.
Yeah. Okay.
But just over the years, we used to live in Michigan, so I was a big fan of the Michigan Wolverines, and Tom Brady was over there.
Yeah.
So I've been watching his career since he was like fighting with Drew Henson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of how I picked up with the New England.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is Bill Belichick really made a good call on like putting him when he was a second string quarterback, and then Drew Bledsoe got out. Like now he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Shooing.
It's amazing. Like you never know which way life is gonna go. It's like you draw sticks. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you end up with the short stick, and some people end up with the long stick. But you never know from the top, from the surface. You never know who's gonna go where. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy how that works out. So you got a lot of different messages in your new album. What really inspired you to make Dreaducated, and what's like the real concept behind the album?
The concept is really, I want to call it Dreaducated, like the whole truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you know. And you could kind of relate to this because I know you know George Carlin, right? Mm-hmm. So George Carlin, I actually use him in a clip on the song called "Enjoy the Show."
No shit.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. I'll let you hear it later, but basically, George Carlin, listening to him, he's a real inspiration to this album. Him and Alan Watts. I don't know if you ever heard of Alan Watts, but he's a philosopher.
Okay.
And he has like a different way of saying things, and I agree with that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's not much truth going on, and I wanted to make sure I came out and spoke true words to make people that think like me. Not saying that I'm right or anybody else is wrong, but I wanted people that think like me to know that they weren't that crazy, you know? Like, we're crazy, but, you know, they're not that crazy.
You know what's crazy? To go off of that, I saw George Carlin 21 days before he died.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw him in Morristown. He brought the house down. Like, he tore the fucking roof off. Even in his old age, he was still, like, just, like, on fire. Like, I've never seen an incredible performer like that.
Not too many people will take it upon themselves to speak the type of truth that he spoke, you know? Because, you know, when you say things that are unpopular to society and mainstream culture, people throw stones at you.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you don't want those stones getting thrown at you, not everybody wants to go through that, you know? So a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, I feel like you. I understand that. I'm like, well, why haven't you ever said anything before? And they're like, oh, you know, I'm trying to make a living. You know, don't want anybody to fire me over this and that. So for all the people that have jobs that, not that, you know, I like, you know, but for all the people that have jobs, I speak for them because they can't speak for themselves because they don't want to ruin their livelihood.
Yeah, because they could get blacklisted, like, for what they believe. Okay, so when I first saw you perform, what I really liked about your music was that it had a message. And I feel like today, the message got really lost in hip-hop. You know, hip-hop used to be about, like, a culture. It used to be about self-sustainment. It used to be about, like, different issues on poverty and raging against the poverty that they grew up in. And I feel like with a lot of the commercialism going on in hip-hop, that message got lost. You know, we went from, like, KRS-One to 2 Chainz. You know what I mean?
Well, with me, once I had the power to create my own people behind me, YouTube really did it for me. When I started to realize, like, I began that way like a KRS, and then I went off into 2 Chainz and all that because it was the only way for me to gain an ear. But once I realized that I could get my own people from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these things, and I'm like, oh, hold up, I have 30,000 people right here. I don't need to go out and do things that's not about myself just to get people to listen.
Yeah.
So when you already have people that are listening to you, you don't have to do anything that compromises yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much how I came about, like doing what I do, because this is what I'm about. But it was one point where people are like, well, you should make the club record or make the radio record because you need to get on radio for people to hear you. So now you need a radio type of record, right? So when we didn't have to get on radio anymore because of YouTube and things like that, it kind of put the control back into the content. Now you have to make good content. People will appreciate it.
Yeah, it almost seems like it did seem very necessary for a lot of rappers to make the club record. That's what Tupac told Biggie.
Yeah.
For every Ready to Die track, you're gonna have to make Hypnotize, or you're gonna have to make a Juicy. You know what I mean? And one big, I would say, example of this would be Lupe Fiasco. One of them, his last album's Lasers. He's a very socially conscious rapper, but he had a lot of albums that sounded like a track that you would hear in the club that you would dance to. So it's interesting that you decided to veer off with social networking to get your message out.
Yeah, because I don't need to get played in the club to get heard, and I don't need to get played on radio to get heard. But not everybody has that. I mean, I don't pass judgment because not everybody has that luxury. You know what I'm saying? I have a very large base online, and I have a lot of. I mean, just in my community, so I don't really have to go outside myself to do things to get on mediums like radio and club and da-da-da. I did at one point have to do things like that, where I was on the club grind where you take your stuff to the strip club. Now you need a strip club record because you can't play something with any type of thought process behind it in a strip club. It just doesn't go. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how I create my content and why I did the Dreaducated the way I did it.
Yeah. And you talk about issues too, like Monsanto, which recently, as I don't know if our viewers know, but there is an act signed called Monsanto Protection Act, or an act that protected Monsanto from lawsuits.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy, And I'm reading stuff by Noam Chomsky recently about how to say self-sustained from that, from that culture.
Yeah. The Monsanto, I got into Monsanto actually because I'm vegan, right? So as a vegan, you start looking into the things that you eat because you have to make sure there's no animal products in these things. And it's not just about eating.
Yeah.
We don't you can say you don't wear animal clothes either. My belt isn't a leather belt or anything like that. So once you start looking at the labels, then you start hold up, what's this? So you go look it up to make sure it doesn't have any cow in it or something, and then you're GMO, and you're what's a GMO?
Yeah.
Genetically modified. Okay, so who's doing that? Monsanto. And you're hold up, wait, what? And then what does it do to you?
Yeah.
Ever since 1992, the cases of intestinal cancer has rose by 600%. Because of the food. What Monsanto does, for anybody who's listening and doesn't know, they spray the crops with the pesticide to keep the insects from eating the crops. And what happens is these crops, the pesticide actually takes the insects and explodes it from the inside out.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is these insects are organisms just like people are. That's how a vegan thinks, right?
Yeah.
So then when you get these crops to people, of course you're going to have the same type of problems that the insect may have, and of course you're not going to be as exposed to it because it's diluted, and of course the human body is a little bit stronger than the insect body, but you're still going to have problems. And that's where my war against Monsanto started. And I don't try to tell people to eat anyway, but I definitely just want them to know what's going on. average person doesn't know about Monsanto.
Yeah.
And I only say that because I go around talking about it and nobody ever knows.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I first got heard about it through there was this Protection Act. Like, why can't you sue a corporation? That seems a little sketchy to me. And then I started learning through my friend who was all in the environment about all the stuff they do with the GMOs and what they do with pesticides and just all the stuff that we eat, how much full of chemicals and hormones it's filled with. And I wish I always try to research more about it and be more educated about it. And it's I would love to be vegan too, but I love bacon too much.
Yeah.
You know, Superman's got kryptonite. I got bacon pizza at Domino's. You know what I mean?
It's funny because well, pizza was pretty much the hardest thing for me to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't hard. Once I decided,
But that's not
was
an
hard.
animal. It comes from cows.
Well, cheese,
kinda. Yeah, cheese,
dairy.
yeah.
I mean, no, I still eat pizza. That's soy cheese and other types of cheese, like rice cheese and stuff you put on the pizza. But it's not. It doesn't. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I just stopped eating pizza altogether. Sometimes I order the crust with the tomatoes and vegetables.
Yeah.
And to the average person that sounds weird, but to me that's like heaven,
Yeah.
But I've always, from I was a little child, I've always felt that that we should treat animals differently. And I always thought I was crazy for thinking like that. And the older I get, now I see that that's really. It's a lot of other people that feel that way as well. And I talk about it in my music.
Yeah.
The Dreaducated part of it is, just being more conscious of how you treat everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people say people are good people, right?
Uh-huh.
But of course people are good people to each other, but what do you do for the earth as a person? What do you do for the other organisms that live on the planet Earth? It's not just about being nice to the next person.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing for the entire environment in general,
I completely agree. I would love to treat animals with respect and everything. I'm serious. I really would love to do that. And you know what I always think about? There's a scene, not to bring up the Avatar, the James Cameron Avatar. I mean, not the best movie. A lot of people says it's just a knockoff of Pocahontas with CGI. I liked it too, but there was one really good part where she killed this creature because the guy was walking around, the invader was walking around and she had to protect him. And he was like, well, thanks for killing that creature. I forget what the creature was, but she said, thanks for killing that creature for me. And she said, no, this isn't okay. That creature didn't have to die. And then she, every time she would hunt a different creature, she would say a prayer for it, So even though she ate the animal, she showed a certain amount of respect. And I think that's what we should do. Even if we eat animals, we should have it on humanely raised farms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean that's a start. And a lot of people are into doing that.
Organic meat.
But they say, I don't know, I kind of just feel a certain way about all of it. So, but I mean, of course, if you're gonna do something, you take the most care because, as they say, my saying is, say life isn't a destination, it's a journey. So it's not about being perfect and saving every animal. You just try to do as much as you can for whoever you can. I mean, the weight of the world is a lot to bear. I mean, it's heavy. So you can only do so much as each person. But I do remember that scene, and that's pretty much how we should be. A lot of people think it's funny. They go out there hunting and doing all these things. I mean, it's to each his own. I don't knock people because I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying they're wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that about wraps it up. Anything you want to say to your fans?
I just want to let everybody know that follows the Dreaducated hashtags on Instagram. Everybody that has a wristband that's wearing it every day. I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate you for coming out here and for everybody else. My man Tim behind the camera, Casey.
Kill people who kill people, but at the end of the song, same people who kill people say killing people is wrong. Kill people who kill people, but at the end of the song, same people who kill people say killing people is wrong.